Prepare yourself for List Off, the gaming podcast where your hosts, Brian and Ryan, rank the things they love. 3, 2, 1, List Off!
Brian, are you prepared?
I am.
Are your affairs in order?
All of them, yes.
Good, because tonight we dine in hell. For tonight we discuss the gaming hills we are willing to die on. How you doing, Brian?
I'm great.
Thank you.
I love it.
Oh,
I'm ready
thanks.
to die.
Don't you go dying on me. So how you doing, man? Yeah, did you play any games this week? Let's get right into our pre-flight checklist here.
Sure.
Yeah, did you play any games this week?
Just a little bit more of Rogue Legacy 2.
Very
Continuing to like that game. Did not have too much time to dive into anything else, but that game continues to be fun, and yeah, I've sunk a good chunk of time overall at this point. So
yeah, I've heard a few other people talking about it, and it's like, man, I think this game would be fun, but I'm not ready for more games at this point.
Right.
yeah. That's it. That's what you've been diving
that's
into.
pretty much it.
And
Yeah.
you're still raving review, having a lot of fun with it.
I would say so. Yeah. It's not slowing down for me yet.
Improves upon the first game.
I would say so. I'm having more fun with it. I mean, granted, I played it on the Vita, the first one, so probably not the best way to play it. And I think I described I've got some more roguelite experience under my belt. So that's helped.
One thing I didn't realize is how much the original had basically formed the roguelite genre. Yeah. Everything was pretty much pure roguelikes, and then it was, I think, the first game to introduce that, like, hey, you're building upon something here. Your next playthrough will start with some of the attributes that you earned, and I had no idea that wasn't done prior to the first Rogue Legacy. So there's a little bit of gaming history for you. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. What about yourself? Any games?
Yeah. So it's going to be a very familiar 3 for me. I'm still playing GTA. I'm trying to make it through as much as that game as I can before I record elsewhere about it. It's good. It's fine. You know, I have a lot of thoughts. I really want to share them all here, but I won't. I'll have to keep those within, which I'll do. I've also been piecemealing my way through the Returnal DLC. And I love more Returnal. I think so there are these things that you collect, basically, that that's how you work your way towards the ending without giving too much away. It's not necessarily about how deep into the tower you go. I think you had actually, did you message me about that? Somebody had messaged me about, like, hey, is there an end to the tower? Not one that I can say.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think I have one more of those items remaining until I reach the end of the story for the DLC. I do think I'm going to platinum this as well.
Nice.
I do think I'm going to have to go for this.
Is there another platinum trophy then?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Typically they do that. Sony does that with DLC. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I hear that the best Returnal players are still playing the first run of their tower run. They're that good
to this day. Yeah, they started as soon as the DLC dropped, and they are still on their tower run.
They haven't died.
They haven't died, but haven't reached the end either. So how good are they? I mean, you know. And then the other game I've been playing some of is Vampire Survivors.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is just this little. You know, I find that whenever I'm on the computer for editing the podcast or for putting together some of our social media posts, I'm like, I think I could just get a quick game of Vampire Survivors, and before I start any of that stuff.
Right.
And typically if things are, exporting or anything that takes more than a few minutes, I'm like, yeah, I got time for another game. So it's interesting because my computer's here. It's secluded from the rest of my house. So it's very much time by myself, which I do like hanging out with my wife and everything. But like, if I'm going to spend time in a room away from everybody by myself, I can't think of a better way to do it than to play Vampire Survivors. Very good.
Yeah, that game is great. Is there an end in sight for you on that one? Are you feeling the slowdown at all?
I'm not getting the enjoyment it is a very repetitive game.
Yeah.
But I think because I'm limiting myself to smaller doses of it, I'm still enjoying it. I could see myself playing it for the next few months in a similar capacity. But yeah, I mean, there's not much variety there.
Sure.
I mean, there is. They do an admirable job as far as which characters and which power-ups, but at the end of the day, your character doesn't really matter after you hit a certain level.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I am still having fun with it, though. In a very casual sense, right?
Sure.
I'm definitely not attacking it with the purpose of like 100%ing it.
Right.
I never will get to that level, I think, of wanting that to happen.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But it's a good game. If I were to make a game of the year list right now, it'd be on it. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Maybe number one.
Nope. Not for me.
Not for me either.
I don't even know what my number one would be, but it's so hard to say at this point.
Yeah. So I guess no more Elden Ring from you then.
No, I will. You
have cooled on that, huh?
No, I think it's one that's going to be there for a while, and I'll just chip away at it, kind of thing. Yeah.
Plus, you gotta find the time for Demon Souls, Brian.
I know that's like my actual deadline kind of thing.
Right.
So,
yeah. So if that's it, if that's what we've been playing, however brief it may be, we could go ahead and get right into our list. What do you say, Brian?
Sounds good to me.
All right, again, we are doing our top 10 gaming hills we will die on. And this was actually suggested in a Discord server we're in by Poppy the Keaton. Went ahead and recommended this list. And I had consulted them. I said, hey, is it cool if we use this? And they were totally fine with it. I said, do you want to come on and talk about it? And they were like, no, I'm better at giving the ideas. And I can't argue that because this is a great list idea. So thank you very much for the go ahead and the list idea there. Yeah. So how do you feel about making the list, Brian? I'm going to ask that first because initially I was having trouble because I'm an idealist and I'm opinionated in some ways, but I'm also like, I could see other points of view. So it's hard for me to think of a hill I would actually not back down from, right? Like die on and not just be like, yeah, cool. Like, I don't agree with you, but sure, what you're saying has merit. Yeah. So I ended up doing a lot of unpopular opinions. And then I started coming up with really good ones that were hills I would die on. So maybe unpopular opinions will be another list, but I'm curious how your process went.
I think kind of similar to yours, where I was thinking like, this is something where I could kind of go either way, but I am dedicated to this decision. So it was a lot of back and forth, but I think I came up with some good ones here. So we can both be the judge of that here. Well, I'll go first. My honorable mention is Blood Gulch. Oh wait, not a hill, not an actual hill we would die on.
I was like, okay, wow, thank God. That was a good one, Brian, because I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time where I did the wrong list. But anyway, let's stick with Halo. Here's the right list. Halo should have been done with Bungie. When Bungie was finished with their story with Reach, I think Halo as a franchise should have been done and not given to 343 because it has been nothing but a headache. We're seeing with this whole season 2, it's just a disaster.
No co-op on season 2.
It's kind of been a disaster since 4. I mean, 4 was a fine game. I didn't even play 5. Halo Infinite, the campaign has been good, but there have been so many problems with the delay of it and just like giving a little bit out of a time of content, and people are not happy. So it feels like to me, Bungie was the steward of Halo, and it kind of should have ended there, or someone else should have picked it up and done something completely different, because this ain't it.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is Bungie went on to really prove their merit. When Destiny dropped, it totally didn't have a lot of fanfare, and they righted those wrongs and created Destiny 2, which is now such a thriving platform for so many people.
I feel like Destiny had a lot of like clout and push.
It wasn't it didn't have a good reputation upon release.
No, it definitely
it let people down. Yeah, is how I meant that. Yeah, but they've proven now in the years since then that they very much are perhaps the most capable studio when it comes to online multiplayer FPS gameplay.
Totally.
So yeah, I agree with that, man. 343 has they've heard it from many places, but rightfully so.
But I think the other part to this is like people would say like, well, no, Halo needs to continue. That's the flagship Microsoft franchise, but I kind of think it should have just ended because it's, I don't know. I'm sure it still makes them a lot of money. There's the whole TV show that's I think doing quite well, like subscription wise. So obviously they shouldn't stop, but I approach
this with like, man, I'm going to bring up arguments against Brian's point just to see if he'd actually die on the hill. But I kind of agree with you on this one. I think if more Halo stories were going to be told, it shouldn't have involved Master Chief.
Exactly.
That's the story that should have ended. It's a good world with lore. Go ahead and build on that. But like, I do agree that it should have been Master Chief's.
It's kind of like Star Wars. Maybe let's get away from the Skywalker saga.
Not a bad idea. Very good. A good pick. I couldn't argue with. So, my gaming hill I will die on for my honorable mention is that video game soundtracks are consistently better than film soundtracks, and they deserve much more respect.
Yeah, that makes me angry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking as a whole, right? Like, I think when you look at AAA games, indie games, a good soundtrack to game ratio is higher than a good soundtrack to movie ratio.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
Really? Wow. I have heard so many trash sound. Like, think of your average movie. A lot of it is licensed music, which is that's not junk. Created, but that's the majority of films. Like, if you're looking at the majority of what comes out, like for video games, the majority is cultivated soundtracks for that piece of media, and you don't really get that in film.
I think the problem I have is that film composers are more in line with like an actual music theory. Like, this is the art. This is the professional looking thing.
Right.
This is like the Beethoven. I think you have composers are closer to that. Like,
I would agree.
This is a musical genius.
I would agree, but to my untrained ear, there are, I mean, I even forget about untrained ear. There are definitely gaming soundtracks that have that sort of clout as well. And granted, there are definitely gaming soundtracks who use film or television composers. Look at Bear McCreary for God of War. I mean, it's happening.
Michael Giacchino got started with Medal of Honor.
Right. So it's not unheard of. But I think if we're looking specifically at what is being released, I think because it is typically made just for that piece of media, it aligns better than film soundtracks do. I mean, in the age of licensing, really most films do have licensing, or they rely on like one song that's prevalent throughout and repeated throughout. Friday the 13th comes to mind.
Okay.
But I just think, in my opinion, man, video game soundtracks deserve way more, and they're starting to get it. Don't get me wrong, but they do deserve more respect. You're starting to see now live performances of bike symphonies and things of that nature. But I think if you were to throw a dart at a barrel full of movies, right, you're probably going to get a worse soundtrack than if you threw a dart at a barrel full of video games.
You are alone on that hill, my friend. I'm leaving you there.
I'm fine with that. I mean, think of the tub of movies at Walmart. Okay. Right? No, I'm serious.
Okay.
And then think of the discount games like at Walmart. I guarantee you the discount games will have better soundtracks than that tub of movies. I bet. I am willing to die on this hill.
I feel like you're like, all right, so we got Shallow Hal and Evolution as our movies.
Right.
And then what's in the discount bin for video games?
Medal of Honor.
Oh my God.
Would I be wrong?
No, that'd probably be in there.
Yeah. And you just said like Michael Giacchino, man. So got you there, Brian.
I guess so. Well, good pick then.
Thanks, man.
All right. So here's one that I think you've come around on. Digital only for video games. I'm all about that digital life. I understand the physical people and you got to have your physical games, but the convenience so outweighs things for me. And I got to have digital for all my games. I have it for all my music. I have it for all my movies. I have it for apps on my phone. Like imagine having to load in specific apps. Like what?
Let me get a little boop.
Right.
Oh yeah. I want to play Chrono Trigger. Doop.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Archaic.
I do agree with you. I will still buy physical games if it's the right price or it's something I can't, it's in front of me and it's a good price. I'll buy it. I don't, especially because I have the, both my consoles are capable of reading physical media.
Sure.
But I know this is a hill you would die on. I have sent you things where I'm like, oh, check it out. This game is only like $15. And you're like, no, bro, it's the physical copy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have absolutely done that.
I know.
Even if it's like half off. Nope. Got to have it on my digital storefront.
Yeah. Yeah. So it makes sense that it's a hill you would die on for yourself. Is it a hill you would impose on other people? Like, do you think everybody should be strictly digital?
No. I think it's good that there's a choice there.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think it's inevitable that we will lose that physical media at some point, which is what the corporations want. And I recognize that as a totally horrible thing. But yeah,
games should be cheaper if they do that. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Or they should be better. I'd take either one.
There you go.
Very good. That's a great pick again, man. Gosh, can't argue you with those picks. So my number 10 is that everyone in an online gaming environment is worthy of your respect until they prove otherwise.
Yeah.
That's a hill I'm willing to die on.
I think
don't go around being that dumpster fire of an individual in an online gaming environment, just throwing out slurs and hateful speech and calling people names. Like, everyone is worthy of respect. And then if you run into somebody doing that, they're obviously not within reason. I do, like, I'm not afraid to admit it. I will go the route of reporting you if you are using hateful speech.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah. Like, I don't play games, dude. I'm a 40-year-old. I don't go online to play games just to hear somebody mouthing off all the time. It's just not for me. So yeah. I
think that's worthy. I think that should be extended to real life too. Everyone just treat everyone with kindness, and that should just be the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
until they give you reason not to.
Exactly. Yes. I think that's good. Yes.
Thanks, man.
All right. So my number 9, paying for multiplayer sucks. And I don't think it should be a thing. And every single time I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm buying this on Steam so I don't have to play or pay for multiplayer. I got the PS Plus that I got for Returnal for 1 month.
Yeah.
I got charged again because I didn't turn off the auto thing. I hate it. But yeah, paying for multiplayer sucks. And all 3 of the console people are doing it now. And it just pushes me more and more to the PC. And it, I feel like they're making that kind of the back burner thing. And there's all this other value that you get with like Xbox Live and PS Plus and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you still have to pay for multiplayer. And that's what the service is. And I don't like that. I think, we're in an age where we kind of just want people. I would assume that all these companies want people to play their games, and that's why there's free to play.
Yeah.
And we see how popular that is. And I'm sure monetarily they see how popular that is. And it seems to be the right choice for things like Fortnite. So,
right. Yeah. No, free to play, like you said, with a battle pass or something like that. Yeah. Like I played Fortnite for a while and I bought a battle pass just because I'm like, hey, I have been playing this game for weeks now and enjoying it. I could throw $25 their way or whatever it was. I did the same thing for Halo.
Yeah.
Regret that one. No, I'm kidding. I really don't. I still have cool armor if I ever jump back on. No, I agree. Actually, I had this higher up in my list, but my list isn't in any particular order. So I'm going to move
neither, really.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, these are points I want to make.
Sure.
which is good. This is kind of the same energy as like our gaming pet peeves, you know, which is good. Sometimes it's good to vent, and I am very much in a venting mood. So
okay, good.
Yeah, I agree. I think people shouldn't have to. I had it worded as people shouldn't have to pay money to play online.
Yeah,
like that is just ridiculous. And you brought up a good point, and I think that auto renew is predatory and shouldn't be the default. The fact that like I had just recently in March been signed up for another year of PS Plus because auto renew was on and I forgot.
A year,
and I forgot. So it's not the $60, it's that I didn't want it, especially with the rumors of Spartacus happening at that time. Like I was in a wait and see, and I specifically like had that mindset the day the email came that it had been auto renewed.
Yeah,
and I just think that's so like everything is this way, you know, where they want to keep you in their system or spending money on them. So like it's in the fine print when you sign up that this will auto renew and blah, blah, blah. And you have to then, you can't do it from your mobile device most of the time. You have to log in from a computer because they just want to make it that much more difficult for you to get to the stupid part of your profile to change the setting to then click off auto renew. And like all of that is very intentional. The fact that they make it 3 steps harder for you is because they're like, oh, most people wouldn't go through that trouble and, or just forget about it, which is what I did. Super predatory, dude.
Yeah. I think there's actual legislation that is being talked about where the default will be auto renew is off.
Good. It should be something you select. It should be, that should be the selection, not like, no, I don't want to auto renew. Yeah. Good pick.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're on the same hill, buddy.
Yeah. For the most part.
For this one.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to gaming soundtracks.
No, that's where you lose me. That's where I actively throw a grenade at your hill.
Yeah, you're coming up the hill to tear me off of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Well, my number 8, kind of going in a similar vein as the soundtracks. I would say 99% of video game stories are really bad. Completely throwaway.
99%.
I would say 99%.
Wow.
I've come across maybe 1 or 2 that are like,
stop it. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
But as compared to other media, I should have that in there.
Hold on. Have you read books?
Yeah. Books are great.
There are so many bad stories out there, dude.
But again, what I'm saying is that the cream of the crop for a book is like infinitely better than the cream of the crop 100%. For a video game.
Yeah.
I think I remember someone discussing how, like, you know, when Uncharted 2 came out, they were like, "Oh, this is one of the greatest video game stories ever." It's kind of just like National Treasure,
right?
Which is
one of the greatest movie stories I've ever seen.
So my point rests.
We have to deface the Declaration of Independence, Brian. That is what we are here on this earth to do.
Exactly.
Gosh, man, Patriots are going to come after me, dude. That was a joke. No, I kind of disagree with you because I do think the cream of the crop when it comes to games is close to the cream of the crop for movies. For books, I don't think it's close at all, but you're dealing with a lot more room to work in books.
Sure.
I also feel like video games typically do a thing where they drag a story out and there's all these like MacGuffins or like, oh, we got to go do this one thing to get that story beat that really matters.
And that hurts the story overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's what you want it to do, is to tell a good story, then
yeah. I think as a whole, you're right. Undoubtedly, like unquestionably right, but I also think it's closer to 97%.
Oh, okay.
97%, I'd say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because like I think it's more than 1% of games.
1 out of 100 video game stories is passable.
Yeah, I think it's more like 2 or 3, maybe.
Okay.
You know, especially with indie games and stuff, like there's a lot there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good point. You know, it's cool. So my number 8 is that spoilers are fine after like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's okay to talk about things if a game has been out for 6 months, I'd say, especially for bigger titles. For smaller titles, maybe I'd give it a year.
Sure.
Because at that point, you've probably already heard it, because the way our media portrays things now, it's just all in your face all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone who reads about games regularly. I'm sure that Google would throw it in your face as soon as you turn your Android on, or Apple News will have it there for you as a recommendation. But yeah, I just feel like if you don't play it, these things get out there, you're going to find out anyway. And, 6 months or a year, 6 months for a AAA title, I'd say a year just to play it safe.
Sure.
Like after a year, yeah, you might play it, but, stories are, they're going to be spoiled. I think we just live in that type of world right now. And I think that people shouldn't have to feel like, oh, I got to bite my tongue about this thing, which is funny because I did just tell somebody they were putting literally today, they put something on social media and I was like, dude, that's a spoiler for The Last of Us Part 2. And they took it down and I felt really bad.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no, you don't get it. I'm cool with spoilers, but like, it's probably not cool for a lot of people.
Right.
But yeah, no, a hill I'll die on is that like spoilers are fine. It's okay to discuss things that happened a year ago.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to the staying power of the game if people are discussing it at that time.
Yeah, it's true.
It just means that it's popular and people want to talk about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was a party pooper for somebody, and that person knows who they are, and I apologize deeply for that. I'm not a party pooper.
You are not. You are the furthest from a party pooper I've ever met.
I'm a party animal.
Yes. This is true. I've played Jackbox with you.
I like to party.
Yep.
I like to party too.
All right. My number 7 then. Good pick, by the way.
Thanks, man. Hey, thanks.
Missable Collectibles. That's the worst thing that I can possibly fathom in a video game. Missable Collectibles. So if you play something and you lost it, you lost your opportunity, that's horrible. That's no good. This is a hill that I will definitely say, no, you shouldn't put this in your game.
It's bad design.
Yeah.
It happens a lot with trophies, and I'm not a trophy hunter, but I think it fits right into this.
Sure.
If it's something that is only available for you have to do it right at this part of the game, or it's gone forever.
Right. Our Mario RPG did that. There's a point kind of near the beginning of the game. Do you remember this one where one of the toads is walking up the in the castle, and you have to jump on his head and then jump up onto the banister to get a treasure chest, one of the collectible hidden treasure chests. And if you miss that one very timed jump, you have to start over.
Yeah. It's fine in some games. I remember Final Fantasy VII Remake had a part where if you do it perfectly on the bike, Jesse kisses you and you get a trophy for that. And I think if you're going to put a chapter select, after you beat a chapter, you can go back, or at the end of the game, you could go back. Fine.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of games that no, you get one opportunity to get this thing, and that's it. And sometimes they're long games, and that's real bad.
No good.
Was this strictly based off your experience with Super Mario RPG?
Pretty much. That's where I was incensed.
Yeah. How many years has that been eating away at you?
Whenever that game came out, 95.
Yeah.
Yeah. So long time.
Yeah. And you like that game. So good pick though. It is a good pick. I agree. Man, I gotta stop agreeing with you, Brian. I want to bring arguments to the table here.
Yeah. I've disagreed with a couple of years. So
yeah, I know. And in the spirit of disagreement, my number 7 is Brian is wrong. That is my number 7 hill I will die on. Brian is wrong. He's wrong about inverted controls, and he's wrong about many other things, but mostly it's inverted controls. And it's that is not a healthy way to play a video game.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I worry about you.
Yeah.
This is stemming from my concern.
It's mental illness for the most part.
No. I wouldn't say
not that far.
No,
okay.
I definitely don't want to.
I'm stubborn.
That. Yeah, I think you just need to come to the light side and try it out. Try non-inverted, get used to it, break through,
Right.
You're
right?
a relic of a bygone era.
Or you could get used to the other way. Like that works too.
I mean, I'm sure at some point it will become cool. Like, you know how vintage stuff always becomes cool. I'm sure at some point people will be like, hey, I play with inverted controls. You know, because it's like, remember back in 1995 when that was a thing?
I mean, Nintendo's doing their best to make it bad to use inverted controls. One of the games,
the Lord's work.
Yeah, I forget which game came out, but it was like, no, you cannot invert your controls. And they just left it at that. And
10 out of 10.
Just can't do it.
That game is a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a hill I'll die on, though, is that inverted controls are terrible.
Okay.
Yeah. It was more about the inverted controls, Brian.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, you're not wrong. I've agreed with like most of your picks. So.
I'm just curious, why do they have it as an option if so few people are using it by your recollection?
Well, they have it as an option because, you know, they have to make their game available for everyone.
So it's an accessibility option.
Well, not necessarily. It's just that, like, you know, there are people like you who have yet to get on board with how video games are played, and they have to be understanding of that. They don't want to limit the amount of people who could buy their game.
Yeah. You're probably right, because when I play a mouse game, everything's proper.
It is, right? Could you imagine playing with a mouse and keyboard and it's inverted?
Yeah, there's that option is there for some weirdo.
Awful.
Yeah.
Wow. At least Brian draws the line somewhere.
Exactly. All right, that's a bad pick, but my number 6 is review scores are bad. So review scores from like outlets, I would say, like gaming outlets. I think if you want to call that the hill, or basically like I feel like people should find the reviewers that they do like and read the review and not go by the score, and try to understand if they're going to like it based on the actual words that are spoken. So I think the number score is a bad thing for the industry and how people view that. I mean, we've seen how like Metacritic will take those, and then studios will use that Metacritic score as an actual, like, what do you call it? Where they'll give out bonuses based on higher scores. Right. There's actual, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's tied to that, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah. So do you feel like there's corruption involved as well? Because, you know, there were stories about people buying reviews for a while there.
Yeah, I mean, there could be. I mean, that was the whole thing with GameSpot and Jeff Gersman. He gave a score that he felt was what his opinion was, and he got fired for it because they had all that advertising for the game backing the site. So those kind of things are really rotten. I mean, Giant Bomb uses review scores now, so like, what am I to say?
Yeah. No, I kind of disagree with you. Just for starters, I personally seek out reviews where they tell you about the game and don't necessarily wrap it up into a score.
Sure.
There's a lot more content coming out on YouTube that involves that.
Right.
And I really appreciate those, usually very humorous videos as well. But I see the value in a score too. I also, if it's a game I just don't want to really like take content in about, I'll look at Metacritic and see what people are saying. And I don't really have a site or anything that I use, but like I do use, if everybody's giving it an 8, I kind of know what I'm getting. If everybody's giving it a 9 or more, like, wow, this is a game I should probably play. But if it's like 6s, 5s, you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to skip that. So there is some value there. But I do agree with your argument about it being bad for the industry. I think that's very fair. Yeah. Good one again. So
your hill of I'm wrong doesn't seem to be holding up too well.
It was mostly inverted controls. Okay. Mostly that. I mean, I think I made my point. You even backed my point because you're like, oh, mouse and keyboard inverted is weird.
That's totally different, though.
Yeah. It's a step in the right direction, Brian. It's a step towards your recovery.
Okay, now what about a phone?
Inverted?
You're pulling down to go up, right?
Is that how it works? Oh yeah, you're pulling up.
I mean, you're
down.
Like pulling the page,
but
right?
That's different. That's a little different because like there's physical touch there. It's moving with your finger.
There's physical touch on a controller.
No. All right, moving on. My number 6 is that Animal Crossing is a boring, dated game that needs way more innovation to stay relevant, and it is deeply upsetting to me that it sold as many copies as it did.
Upsetting? Okay.
Yeah, like dude, there are so many good games that would never touch the sales numbers of Animal Crossing. So many good games that people put love and care and attention into, and a game like Animal Crossing comes along and just like, hey, it's like the same as last Animal Crossing, except like, it's on an island.
Dude, there's no other game like Animal Crossing, though. Name another game that does that.
There's like The Sims, dude. There's Sim games.
So I think the thing about
there
Animal
are
Crossing,
more. Well, there are like cozy games. It's a whole genre now.
So my point is more about the 24/7 365 aspect, where it's like this is the date and you're moving in real time.
Okay, it's still a boring dated game that needs way more innovation.
Yeah.
They've been doing that since it was on the GameCube.
So right? it was good on the GameCube, and then they just let that stale.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the last one I played before the most recent one was the GameCube version.
Sure.
And I played the game. I was like, hey, this is cool. This is like a unique idea. It's something new from Nintendo. I enjoyed it. I even had the e-reader where I would swipe the cards to get stuff in game. It was neat.
Yeah.
It was fresh. And I played no other Animal Crossing until the one that came out on the Switch. What's it called? New Horizons?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. There are two that are like very similar names. And
the Switch one. Yeah, we'll just call it that. And I was like, this is the same as the GameCube game. Like, just yes, better graphics. Better graphics, minor changes. You could like terraform now, but it's the same game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just really, really bad. Because there have been how many iterations between them?
Probably like 8 or so.
Yeah, there should be more innovation by the time we get to where we are now.
Yeah. Kind of like in Mario Kart. Yeah, very similar.
You better. Mario Kart has innovated a lot.
Yeah, they haven't gotten quite to the Diddy Kong Racing innovation.
Oh my gosh. Play Mario Kart 8 and tell me it's not as good as Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I feel like Mario Kart could use some bigger mode, like an adventure mode. That would be
cool.
Way more interesting than just doing a Grand Prix.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think if Mario Kart 9 dropped with something like that, boom, like it would change everything. It would change the game. Yeah.
Good pick.
But we're talking about Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing is way more stale, I would say. All right, my number 5. This is a PC related one. And Elden Ring is guilty, and it makes me so furious every time.
Wow.
Let me quit to desktop from the pause menu. Let me just straight quit to desktop and not have to go all the way back to the main menu and then quit out. Because an Elden Ring has made me upset every single time that I want to turn it off, because you have to go into the pause menu, which is not paused, number one. And then you have
it's not paused. That's true.
You have to go to the main menu. And then it does the whole thing where it's like connecting to network. We're going to get you into the game. And then you have to like agree to the EULA every single time, or whatever connection thing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can quit. And I feel like this has happened a couple of times where I'm like, I want to turn off my computer and be done with this. I don't want to have to sit through menus to get all the way back here.
Yeah, you want to hear something really frustrating? It does the same thing on PlayStation 5.
Really?
If you just close it from like the PS button, next time you boot up the game, it'll say the game was closed improperly. Please choose quit. Yeah, you have to choose quit game from the pause menu. Wait till it gets to the main menu, and then exit the game.
Oh my gosh.
It gives you like a little warning because I did
like
it.
An error.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, oh, you could corrupt your save file. You know how they are.
Jeez.
You know how they are.
Oh yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
For sure. So I guess it's predatory, like the online services. They just want you to keep playing. Like,
I don't know what the point is, honestly.
I don't know what the point is either. Maybe there's something on the back end that like, yeah. Not cool though. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Damn. So my number 5, we're on 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
My number 5 is that character creator should be completely fluid. Like any option you want available to everyone, as far as like gender or what style, body, hair, face you want, anything like that. You could be like, a orc with a hot body. Like, do whatever you want, man.
Okay, Ryan.
If that's your thing.
As long as you keep it in your home and
I mean, hey, right? Like, or you could be like a furry. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's judging you, dude. Why are you laughing? This is funny.
Saints Row. Like, you can do all this in Saints Row.
Right, but why can't you do that in anything else?
Totally. I mean, like Mass Effect was very strict about what you could and couldn't do.
Well, Mass Effect's a good example, but there are games that still come out and it's like, oh, you chose male, so here are your options. You have male hair as your option. And it's like, what is male hair?
Right.
Like, what does that look like? It's just a silly thing.
Maybe I want to be a mustachioed lady.
Right. I mean, I think not only potential for like hilarious builds, right? But it's just something that you should have the freedom of doing in a video game. Like, it's ridiculous that games still release where they try to keep you within these lines. And it's really to no benefit of the story or gameplay or anything else. It's just because.
Yeah.
And it's dated, man. Get rid of that. Let people
Wonderlands,
be what they want.
Wonderlands did a good job of, you get 2 choices, this one or that one. And they don't like say anything about it. Just like,
like
there's this one and that one.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, you can choose, you can decide for yourself what each one means.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. That's a good pick. I like that one. That's a good hill.
Thanks, man.
I would die there with you.
Cool.
All right. My number 4, games are art. I don't understand why this has to be discussed ever again, but there are still some people who don't view them as such, and it's less of a thing now, for sure. Like we're pretty far away from it, but I feel like there's still that subset of people who are like, games are for kids, and they're just like silly things that
okay, boomer.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Not much to it, but games are art. There's lots of work that goes into them, lots of artistry in so many different facets. With writing a book, you have an author, maybe a cover artist, but with games, there's animation artists, there's environment level artists, character artists, the story, there's just everything. There's so many disciplines all in one, and each one should be celebrated and grouped as an art form.
Oh, I agree 100%. I love video game art, as an aside, but also, I think anybody who argues in 2022 that video games aren't art, they probably don't understand video games
exactly,
like at all.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. I would die on that hill with you, Brian.
Thank you.
So remember when I was talking about you being wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. My number 4 is another thing Brian is wrong about. It's that Mario Sunshine is not only a great game, but it is a top 5 entry in the Mario series.
Oh, that is the biggest stretch I've ever heard anyone say.
This is the truth.
Top 5,
truth.
Sorry, let me understand. Top 5 Mario games. Sunshine is included in that.
Yes, absolutely. The only ones God. I can put over it in my head right now, just off the top of my mind, are Odyssey, 3, and World. Right there, it's number 4. I mean, I can't put anything else over it.
Are you like? Is it only like mainline Mario? Is that where we're, or just all Mario? Like Mario Tennis could be.
No, I mean, I'm talking about mainline Marios. Yeah, okay. Like it's his platforming entries, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I still heavily disagree with you there.
I don't.
What about like Mario Brothers?
The first one?
Yeah.
You think the first Mario Brothers is better than Sunshine?
Yes. I don't have to fight the controls. I don't have to fight the camera.
You are, oh my gosh, stop it. You said you like Mario 64, which was worse than Sunshine. Yes.
No, you don't have to touch that. You just have to hit down on C and you're done.
Okay.
I will. Mario Sunshine,
like, you can't do this. You can't honestly say the first Super Mario Brothers is better than Super Mario Sunshine. You would rather play 100%. The first. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wouldn't you rather play
Mario 3?
I just said Mario 3 is better.
But like
that was one of the 3 games I named.
I would rather play New Super Mario Brothers, Wii U Deluxe Luigi version,
right?
Than I would play Super Mario Sunshine.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
No, that is a huge no. Huge no. Look,
Galaxy? I understand. Did you even say Galaxy?
No, Galaxy's not better than Sunshine. Oh. Galaxy's fine. Oh. But like honestly, after the 5th or so planet, you're like, cool, man. Like, I get it.
Wow.
I am not way wrong on this.
I think
Sunshine is a great video game, period, and it's a great entry in the Mario series. I know I'm not alone on this. I know for many people, Sunshine is their favorite.
We're going to do a poll
Mario
on
game.
This one because I find this completely ludicrous.
All right, what's the poll? Let's get the poll sorted out now.
Is Super Mario Sunshine in the top 5 mainline Mario games of all time?
Okay, deal. I'll go with it.
No, you're ridiculous.
And it still will not. This doesn't have to be a popular opinion. It just has to be a hill I will die on.
Yeah.
And I will, no matter how this poll turns out, you better be damn sure my mind is not changing on this.
Are you saying it's number 5?
It could be. Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe it depends on the day. Like I'm sure depending on the day, I'd rather play Sunshine than like World. Definitely. There are days I'd rather play Sunshine than World.
This is a horrendous take, and I'm ashamed.
No, I know. And I'm sure most people are listening to me right now, and they're like, oh, Ryan, you've never been more wrong in your life. Yeah. But it's not about being right. It's not about being right. I've been right so many times on this show. This doesn't have to be one of them.
I gotcha. All right. Well, good pick.
Thank you.
Spicy.
I'd die there. I would die there.
No, I know you would.
Brian in his head right now, our show is over. No one will listen to us. Now that everybody left, what do you want to say?
This is why Nintendo stopped sale of 3D Classic All-Stars, because that horrendous game was included. All right, my number 3. Accessibility options don't threaten experience integrity. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, of course I know what you mean. And I want to hear what you have to say about this, because I'm sure I feel the same way.
So I would only say this because there's such a seemingly large chunk of people who think, no, like you can't have an easy mode, or you can't have the no kill mode. Like there's so many people who are like, no, this is the way the developers said it has to be, and that's the only way to play it. If you are playing it any other way, then you're wrong and you don't deserve to be a gamer. And that's just so bizarre to me that they are just excluding an even larger subset of people who need those accessibility options to even experience the game. So definitely die on that hill.
No, I'm 100% with you. My number 3 actually is similar, but I didn't have it worded the same way. It's basically that being a gamer isn't about difficulty or time played or what kind of games you prefer. Like if you play games of any kind, mobile, party, casual, whatever, you're just as much a gamer as anyone else. And to take it like one step further, the whole classification / term of gamer is stupid. And we should just get rid of that entire notion, especially as games start to take a larger role in entertainment.
Right. It's kind of like you don't call yourself like a movie watcher.
Right.
Like everyone watches movies.
Right. Exactly. Like I'm a human being and so are you. And
right.
I think it ties into that respect. Like this idea of putting easy mode in games or making games so more people can experience them is somehow hurting your experience. That is a ridiculous notion. I think that those are people who have this idea of ownership to things that aren't theirs. These games don't belong to us. Sure, we could buy a copy of it, but ultimately we are no part of the creative process, and we in no way dictate who has access or that can play these games. And the whole notion that in some way you are better than people because they play on easy, or you're a larger part of this niche group is ridiculous. Like gamers aren't a little niche group anymore. Like we're not outcasts of society, and you can't like be king gamer because you play every game on hard mode and never die, and you walk around in your underwear with a club and Elden Ring and like can beat the whole game that way. Like that's great. That's an achievement. You should be proud of it.
Yeah.
But you should also be happy for everybody else and their achievements or lack thereof, and get over yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So side note, I saw someone was doing a playthrough of Elden Ring where they didn't fight any bosses. They only summoned other people to do it for them. Is that a legitimate way to play Elden Ring?
Yeah, dude, it's in the game. They put it in the game.
Yeah,
it's a legitimate way.
So I can summon you to beat my 100%. Bosses for me.
100%, dude. I'm there.
That's hilarious. I'm not going to help you. I'm just going to stand away and dodge.
Well, I saw a similar thing. There's a certain like ash summon you get later in the game. You start getting more and more powerful ones.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to spoil anything. And like
people
had a similar thing where they're like ash summon beat an enemy. But it's there. Yeah. Like it's in the game. So hey, like go for it.
That's it. So that covers our number threes then.
Sorry if I got a little passionate there.
No, you're good. That's what we need. All right. My number two. I don't know why I put this on my list, but I thought it was kind of funny. The Game Boy Micro is the best Game Boy Advance and maybe the best Game Boy.
So wait, are you saying best Nintendo handheld?
No. In the Game Boy line, the Game Boy Micro is the best. So that includes Game Boy Pocket, Color.
What about the SP?
Advance and SP.
What about the SP? Better than the SP?
Micro's better because the screen is better. It's smaller, but that just serves the resolution a little more. It's very sharp screen, and it's so nice and tiny, and it fits well in my hands, and I love it. Yeah. I love the SP too, but that screen is pretty dinky.
It's been a long time since I played any of them, so like maybe. Yeah. But I also think just off the top of my head, I'd probably go SP.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you prefer, just like looking at all Game Boys, do you prefer horizontal or vertical orientation?
Of vertical.
You'd say so?
Yeah. Like the Advance was cool. Don't get me wrong, but like that's why I would choose the SP over the Advance. Really is because of like, you flip the little screen up there.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess the DS kind of flipped that, where it's like that's more of a horizontal console, but it still has the flipped vertical.
Yeah.
I feel like if the Game Boy Advance was all the things that the Game Boy Micro has in terms of rechargeable battery, a sharper, more vibrant screen, that would be my favorite one.
Yeah, I get that.
So
yeah. I understand.
I just like the way it feels in my hand.
What's your favorite Nintendo handheld?
I mean, does the Switch count? Because I would say the Switch.
Yeah. No, I don't think it counts. Yeah. You'd probably say 3DS, right?
3DS is pretty good just because it can play so many things.
I think the DS, but I didn't own a 3DS. So I would say DS, actually.
God, the problem is like every iteration of Game Boy and then Advance and like all of these things, it's just like the next one is better and does all the things before.
Yeah.
So,
and eventually you get to the Switch.
exactly.
Yeah. Good pick, man. I would go SP, but fine.
Yeah.
At
least we're in the advanced family there.
Right. So my number 2, and this should come as no surprise to anybody who listens to the show, it's that The Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't have any arguments against it?
Are there no flaws, or like is it one of your favorite games? Like, what does it mean? What does masterpiece mean to you, I guess?
It means it's timeless. It means it's transcendent of the genre. It's I mean, not to say there are no flaws. I think you could pick flaws in anything,
sure,
especially with time on your side. It's subverting expectations in the best way. Just the gameplay itself never feels video gamey. It always feels organic, and they do. I could keep going. I've talked enough about The Last of Us Part 2 on this podcast over the last few years. I just think it's rare that you get a piece of media that doesn't care about you or the person playing it or what you want or what you expect. It had such a clear story it wanted to tell, regardless of how people felt about that. And
which that is something to be celebrated, because oftentimes it's just like, okay, everyone's happy at the end, or like, okay, that's what I expected to happen.
This could have been one of those cash grabs, and it just wasn't. It wasn't in any way. Like, they weren't out to please people.
Sure.
And that's cool, I think. And plus the attention to detail.
Don't die on me.
No, I know.
Don't die on the hill
in my throat. But like, there's just so much in this game that it's almost unimaginable. The amount of people that put so much into it is apparent in every little bit of this game.
Right.
There's Easter eggs everywhere. There's lore everywhere. There's this deep, rich world all around you. And it's just cool, man. There's rope physics. Like, it's ridiculous. So good.
Uncharted 4 was their first foray into decent rope physics, and it seems like they learned some lessons for sure. I'm just excited to see what Naughty Dog does next with some real hardware and not something from already outdated 2013 standards.
I can't wait.
Real cool.
So I have played through it a second time on the PS5. Definitely recommend doing it.
You know what? I should do that.
60
that's a
FPS
good idea. That would probably help with just I don't want to play it on a PS4, I guess, is my big concern.
The load times were bad. Like everything. It was really good.
Good pick. I think we can gild that as a masterpiece. We did an entire episode on it, so there you go. All right, you want to hear my number 1?
I do.
Okay. Inverted controls forever, baby.
Get out of here, bro. God. Are you serious? That's your number 1?
Yes.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. Never backing down.
All right. Well,
I will. This is the biggest hill that I will die on.
I expressed my feelings on that issue.
You did. So. You had an entire entry dedicated to it.
So did you.
So did I. And this is where we clash for sure.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't think we'll ever see eye to eye on this.
No.
Or X to Y.
Very good.
Thank you.
No, X-axis people are equally insane. So that's so weird.
Oh my gosh, right? Like, so you're like not fully inverted. You haven't you're not like, I want everything inverted. I want to look up and to the right, but I'm really down and to the left. Like,
who is that for? Like, I legitimately someone playing upside down.
You're the crazy one. You tell me.
Maybe it's someone who wants to play upside down.
Maybe to each their own. We have no right to tell them they can't.
That's right.
We do not have ownership of controls. Wow, listen to me. Like, I guess I do, because I told you were wrong. So
all I know is I'm gonna get a flight stick and play my FPS games with that, and then see if that feels right.
Feel right at home, I'm sure. So my number one, without further ado, is it's not The Last of Us Part 2 as a masterpiece. It is that pay to win has no place in gaming.
Yeah.
I think any game that incorporates any sort of monetization that allows people to be better at the game in any way, that is how video games stop working.
Sure.
Especially if they want viability in the competitive atmosphere.
Yeah.
Anything like this just breaks the system down, and it's not good practice whatsoever. We talk about predatory with the online service. This is really, really bad, and it's meant to, gosh, I don't know how to
money
say
out
this.
of people.
Well, like, yeah, but certain types of people too,
Yeah.
and that's not okay. Like, it's not okay to, if people have a desire to be good at something, you shouldn't say, hey, like, you could be good. All you have to do is pay this extra $10 and you'll have like the best gun in the game, and that will make you better. Because like, I've played online competitive games and it gets frustrating, especially if you have a few bad matches where you're like, man, I just wish I could get like a few more kills, or straighten out my KD ratio. And like, yeah, that's a very real emotion, especially when you're in the heat of, a gaming session with one of them.
Yeah.
And then when you get, what if you got a little pop-up and it's like, hey buddy, you need this gun, huh? It's only $2, but and then you buy it and it gets you a little bit better. And then the next pop-up's like, oh, only a few more bucks for this armor. So you spend more and spend more, and then it's not fair to other people who don't want to spend extra money on the video game because now they suck,
right?
And they have to find ways to escalate their own performance, and like, it's just, it's terrible, man.
I feel like I've never been more frustrated with a game than when I played Clash Royale. Mm-hmm. Did you ever play that game?
I played Clash of Clans.
Okay, so Clash Royale, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right one. It's where you're playing against other people and you're just like sending units out. But the game was structured in a way that if you paid money, then you would get things like better things, kind of like you're talking about. And I never spent money, and it was just a grind. And they put it that the like progression was made in such a way where you were always fighting someone who had that edge. You never fought someone who was like on your level or lower. They were always like above you or way above you. And it was so frustrating.
That's bad.
So, yeah.
Yeah, real bad.
I will say I did pay to win playing Call of Duty Mobile because I had the Backbone controller and everyone is trash because they're playing.
And you're like on an actual controller. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's
awesome. $99 for that.
Yeah, I actually worked with a dude who used to do that for Fortnite.
Oh wow!
He had the little Backbone controller for his phone and would like, oh look, another victory royale. Yeah, yep. It's funny. It's funny, but you bring up a good point with apps, and that's part of it. Apps are structured in such a way that it's like, oh, you're limited. It's all rate limiting. Mm-hmm. We're gonna just get you to a point where like, you can't get better, or you have to grind for hours to get the resources you need.
Right.
Or you could just pay a little bit of cash, dude. And that's really bad too.
Yeah. Doesn't work on me, thankfully. But yeah, there's, like you said, there's that certain person.
Not anymore. Call of Duty Backbone.
Well, that was,
I know, that's a good investment anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, good list, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of good hills.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of good hills. Thanks again to Poppy the Keaton for the list suggestion. And if you guys ever want to drop us a list suggestion or just say hi, we're on Instagram at listoff podcast, Twitter at listoff_podcast. And you could even email us because that's what people do.
Yeah.
At listoffpodcast@gmail.com. All the links will be in the show notes. We'd love to hear from you guys.
You can mail us too. If you get our physical addresses, you can mail us.
It's happened before. It's happened before.
That's right.
Someone somehow got Brian's physical address and mailed him banjo koozies.
That's right.
It was cool. Thanks, mystery person.
Yep.
So yeah, great list, Brian. I say without further ado, we go ahead and we get into our debrief.
Sounds good.
All right, Brian.
Yeah.
Got any suggestions for our listeners out there?
I do. I recently picked up an audiobook because, again, I'm on that digital lifestyle, and it is called Disrupting the Game. and it's from the head of Nintendo America, Reggie Fils-Aimé himself.
Yeah.
And I love the digital or the audiobook because Reggie is the one telling the story.
How cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So he has his cadence that he did on all his presentations. Reggie's a cool guy. He will go down as one of those really cool video game executives.
Came here to kick ass and take names.
That's right. Yeah. He came out strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always liked the guy. He seems like a cool guy. He's humongous. But yeah, the book is really good. I think I'm like halfway through. It's only an 8-hour read, so it's probably a pretty short book.
Yeah.
But he goes through his entire life, growing up in Haiti and then through he's had a lot of jobs. I didn't realize how many like actual career moves he's done. People always hear about him being involved with Pizza Hut and the Bigfoot pizza. But he has had like a dozen jobs in between until Nintendo. So yeah, good book so far.
And it's changing the game.
It's disrupting
the game. I don't know how I had it so wrong. I've seen other people posting about it. Actually, just before the show, I saw an interview with him.
Yeah.
And
he's on the circuit right now.
And they asked him what his favorite non-Nintendo game of all time is.
And he said The Last of Us Part 2.
He said Halo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said Halo.
Wow.
I know, that is interesting, right?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Well, very good, man. It's definitely a book I want to check out.
You should. I think you'll like it.
I'm seeing if Hoopla has it.
Are you an audiobook person? Like, would you sit there and listen to Reggie talk about himself for 8 hours?
I'm definitely an audiobook person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, speaking of how much of an audiobook person I am, my debrief is that radio show podcasts. I've recently started listening. This is funny that you had an audiobook. We've actually like had mind melds quite a few times with these.
Sure.
Yeah, so I do enjoy radio show podcasts. Their like production value is more akin to film or like the heyday of radio.
Mm-hmm.
I think like War of the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
And the first one I really got into was at the recommendation of a friend, and it was Limetown. Have you ever heard of Limetown?
No.
It's really cool, kind of sci-fi mystery. It's about this lady who's doing an expose. She's a reporter, and it's about this town called Limetown, where some Elon Musk type gathered the world's best scientists in one place, and then they just disappeared, and nobody really knows what happened. And it's very, very good, but I don't know if it aged that well. Like sometimes I went back and listened a few years ago, and like, the acting is what it was. But I remember the first listen, I was like really into the story.
Nice.
Another few I would recommend are comic book ones. They did 2 seasons of a Wolverine radio show podcast. The first one was The Long Night, which is really good. Takes place in Alaska, hence the name, The Long Night. And the second one was The Lost Trail, which I thought was incredible. Much better than The Long Night, but I had a really, really good time with that one. And there's other Marvel ones. There's a Marvel's Wastelander. This is why I brought it up on this week's show, because I was like, hey, I'm going to look for another one of those. And I found out there's this whole series of Marvel's Wastelanders, which takes place in like the Old Man Logan storyline. And I'm currently 3 episodes deep in Marvel's Wastelanders Black Widow. And it's another really, really cool. This has Susan Sarandon as Black Widow. Like it has like real actors in it.
Wow.
The guy who played Wolverine in the Wolverine ones was the guy who played Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit trilogy. Yeah. So
nice.
Like they get legit people to do the voice acting in these Marvel ones, and it shows. Like they're really, really high quality and really just cool to listen to. I put them on at work. So yeah, when you ask about audiobooks, 100%, man.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my debrief radio show podcast.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. All right. I guess that does it.
I'm dead on the hill.
Are you? So yeah, at least we can agree inverted controls have no place in games.
Oh God.
But next week, Brian.
Yes.
We have an episode next week.
We do.
It looks like our next week's episode is the top 10 gaming athletes.
Okay.
So that's the top 10 athletes in video games.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, this is like video game athletes, not like esports athletes, right?
Yeah, no,
Because I don't know any of those.
I don't. Yeah, no, I wouldn't really be able to make a list of 10 of them anyway.
Perfect.
No, this is like athletes in video games.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would give you an
Perfect.
example, but I don't want to.
yeah.
Don't want to give anything
Master
away.
Chief.
You can make that argument. You
I
could.
will not.
All right, fair enough. All right. Well, as always, guys, thanks for listening. We hope you have a great week. Bye.
See you later.